This next short video looks at some interesting and unexplained aspects of St Flannan's College in Ennis. Now, as it's 2024, it's exactly 50 years since I went in there as a 12-year-old to start first year in secondary school. So I was very impressed by the building then. I had no idea that it was part of something much more extensive. So let's have a look at that.
This is St Flannan's College, Ennis, County Clare. One of the first things you'll see as you approach Ennis from any direction is the spire at St Flannan's. We're told this was built in 1880. Work had started in December of 1878. It was finished in October of 1880. So we're asked to believe that in 22 months, without the aid of power tools or a tower crane, that this was built. A closer look at the logistics of building something like this with only horses and wagons and wooden ladders in 22 months would be interesting. What size of an army of workers would it have taken? Who would have fed them and accommodated them? Now, from one of the books written about St Flannan's, this is from 1890. This is the oldest known photograph of the building. Despite the fact that photography had been a thing in every town in Ireland from the 1850s onwards, we're asked also to believe that this magnificent building was built to much fanfare, I'm sure, at the time, without a single photograph being taken along the way. We know they had cameras because in 1866, this is the first class group at Springfield, which was the school in the town preceding St Flannan's. The other unusual little snippets from reading the books that have been written about the place is that it hasn't been established where the stone came from. There are a couple of possible local venues, but there's no local folklore, for example, as to whose great-grandfather might have been involved in the project, which you'd usually expect to find. But that's not why we're here. We're here to look at why it was built at this location and in this orientation, and look at what it is connected to locally. This is 30 degrees east of south. If we look at the main building axis and follow that line to the southeast, we find that 55,000 metres away, that line hits the round tower in Kilmallock, County Limerick. If we follow a line along the facade at exactly 90 degrees to the other line, at 90.00, we hit the spire on the Church of Ireland church in Portumna. There's a quite impressive church on the other side of the road as well, but it's the Church of Ireland spire on the right-hand side, which aligns with the facade at St Flannan's. That's the primary axis out of the way. Next place we go to is Napogue Castle, 11 or so kilometres away. There are two garden complexes in Napogue, and each of those gardens have a centre, which in one case is marked by a little stone pillar. There it is in better days. There's a more recent photograph. Now the place is overgrown. And the larger walled garden has a central feature, which is this statue on a limestone carved plinth. Now, both these garden centre points are aligned to lots of other things locally, but if we take a line from one, carry it through the other one, and take it away in the direction of Ennis, we hit the spire at St Flannan's with that line. The next location we go to is Kildysart, 20 kilometres down the west side of the Fergus estuary. The old churchyard and cemetery there is built in the shape of a triangle. And a line along the west side of that triangle hits the spire at St Flannan's. The other side of that triangle points us directly at O'Brien's Tower at the Cliffs of Moher. And if we precisely split that angle and follow the line south, that line points us at Desmond Castle in Newcastle West, not too far across the estuary from Kildysart. Coming back to that line between Kildysart and St Flannan's spire, that line crosses Killone Lake. In the lake there is an intersection point whereby we have 5 pairs of ring forts quite near the lake, and extending a line from each of those pairs to that intersection point, we find that we're on that line between Kildysart and St Flannan's. There's a satellite image from that. The red line goes from Kildysart to St Flannan's, and the blue lines indicate the alignment of the ring forts locally with that intersection point in the lake. Interesting also is that the walled garden at nearby Newhall House also is aligned with that intersection point in the lake. And at right angles to that, the other side of the walled garden is aligned with Maw Eyre, which is about 10 kilometres away between Quin and Tulla. Now our next stop is Scattery Island and the round tower there. So let's take a line from here to the spire in St Flannan's, and we follow it along to Knockalock near Kilmehel, and we see that this island is on that line. There's even a nice bench there where you can go and sit and ponder it all. Now, this island is aligned with a number of other things, which we've seen in other videos and we'll see again. And if we follow the line along to Dromedrehead, we see that that line bisects one ring fort, but manages to avoid all the others along that stretch of countryside, and there are quite a few. Our next stop is Kelleter House beside Cullan Lake, between Kilkishen and Tulla. This would have been the home of Tom Steele, one-time friend of Daniel O'Connell, and after whom Steele's Rock in Ennis and Steele's Terrace would have been named. And if we take a line from here through the centre of two ring forts along the way, that line brings us to the spire at St Flannan's. And as with all the alignments, you have to ask then who built what first and why was the alignment important to them. Our next stop is at Caherlohan on the Ennis to Tulla Road, not far from Tulla. On the left-hand side, there's a little rectangular field with a field in front of it, which is a six-sided polygon. And the little enclosure with the high walls around it is on axis with the spire at St Flannan's. Now, that could be a coincidence, but every side of both the little rectangular field and the six-sided field all point us to significant other historic sites like Temple Mealy, Maw Eyre, Kilmacduagh. We've looked at all these in a previous video. Just north of that line to Kelleter House, there is a line through two ring forts to an intersection point between a bunch of other ring forts at Dangan. Again, the focal point is the spire at St Flannan's. That's just north of Kelleter House and south of that field at Caherlohan. There's the 1842 Ordnance Survey map showing part of that line. And the Ordnance Survey map will show us the next alignment as well. This is a Woodstock golf course. There's the map showing the outline of the two very well-defined forts there. One of them is a stone circle and the other one is earthworks. And a line through the centre point of each of them continues to St Flannan's. That's exactly what happens at Bushy Park. There's a view from the top of Bushy Park Hill, and again the centre point of a stone circle up there and an earthenwork fort at the bottom of the hill takes us directly to St Flannan's. We have a similar arrangement going to the north of the town, where we have Paulnagat Stone Fort at Rouen, and the line from there to St Flannan's takes in the centre point of Cranogues at Dromore and Balliala, which are nodal points in networks of ring forts around both of those locations. We've looked at these in a previous video on the timeline or possible timeline of these ring forts, so you may refer back to that. There's all the stuff that's focused on the Cranogue at Dromore, and the same thing is happening in Balliala. There's the satellite overview of Balliala, and we'll add the red line which continues down to St Flannan's there. It's interesting to know that there's actually a two-way alignment there, in that the two little green circles there are the ring forts in Woodstock, and one of them has an alignment with a ring fort on the other side of Balliala. That forms a triangle with the line from Dromore and Balliala to St Flannan's, closing the loop effectively. There's a sketch from one of the previous videos which shows us most of what's to the north of St Flannan's. Included in that network of sites there to the north is this mausoleum in Rouen, just outside the village on the south side. So that all leaves us with questions. Who built all this? Why did they build it? Indeed, when did they build it? In what order was it built? It's obviously all connected. And then the next question is why? So if you have any ideas on that, or indeed want to share this video, please do. One of the possible connections is that I know that there are major underground water flows in the grounds and possibly under St Flannan's, and anytime you have that, then there are energy implications. So again, if you want to share or discuss this, please do. Thank you.